Now, what are the Belgians known for? They have great waffles, they speak both French and Dutch, and they have a king that committed more war crimes than the US's wet dream. But somewhere in the southern parts of Belgium, Vincent Patard and Stéphane Aubier decided to snort enough lines of cocaine to kill 5 elephants, and while as high as the manhole cover we blew into space, made a series called A Town Called Panic, or in French, Panique au Village. If I had to describe this show to you, the best way would be to say it's kind of the thing you'd see in a fever dream. A cowboy, Indian, and talking horse lives together in a small French village doing the stupidest shit imaginable. This show is the dumbest thing I have ever watched, and I love it for that. With its characters, little waddles, the talking horses, the constantly drunk as farmer. It's such an endearing show that I need to share with people because this has enough meme potential to put you in a coma. And that's not because the entire thing is in French. So I will explain to the best of my ability the cocaine-filled fever dream of 2 Belgian French people. However, I am also only going to be using the movie of this series because it's the only thing I have watched. Our story about a town called Panic starts with our 2 French Belgians, or Belgian French, Vincent Patard and Stéphane Aubier. In 2000, after working together for some time, they decided to revisit one of Aubier's old projects, a town called Panic, a stop-motion short he had made for his graduation project. A producer by the name of Vincent Travier had stumbled upon the old animation and approached the duo, saying it was a great concept and should be expanded on. Aubier had used paper mache and small plastic figures for the short, which were carried over to the new project, where the 2 made a new pilot episode for the series called The Cake. Aubier, in an interview with Filmmaker magazine, stated that he had seen the little figurines in animation school, which reminded them of his childhood, so he wanted to put them in a show. So, in 2003, after making 20 episodes for the series, it aired on the French premium TV channel Canal+. It gained a cult-like following across Francophone Europe, with Aardman deciding to dub it for English for the UK, soon releasing the show on Nickelodeon. However, the 5-minute time constraint of each episode frustrated the duo, as they wanted to explore their show and ideas further, so they soon decided to make a feature-length film. So over the course of 260 days in the outskirts of Brussels, the duo produced their movie. And in 2009, the movie premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, and was theatrically released a few months later. It gained a good critical reception, with American film critic Roger Ebert saying, "There's very little to say about this film, other than it is brilliant." So now that I've explained the history of the show, I need to explain the story. Because from the clips I've been showing you, you most definitely cannot piece together what the is happening. And as funny as it is to see these clips out of context, I think I need to explain this. So for the enjoyment of all, I'm going to try my best to summarize this movie, because anything I say is going to be completely lost on you if you don't know what the happens. However, one thing I do need to point out is that there is a very questionable racial stereotype in this movie, which is quite unfortunate. So if you don't want to be spoiled on this, just go watch the movie because it's actually watchable on some streaming services. You might need to use a VPN to connect to Europe because I don't know if it's available in other parts of the world, but you probably will be able to find it quite easily. But anyway, the story starts off following a postman delivering his morning mail to the town of Panic. He twists and turns, delivering his mail to the local French people. Then he gets to the house of our titular characters, cowboy, Indian, and horse. The sound of the ringing doorbell wakes our protagonists up, hurriedly preparing for the day. And what an important day it is, because it just so happens to be Horse's birthday today. So terrified by the realization that they haven't bought a gift for Horse, Cowboy and Indian hurriedly come up with some ideas for what they should get. Eventually, they come up with the genius idea of building him a barbecue. But not just any barbecue, but one made of bricks. Because why would you order a perfectly normal barbecue on the internet, which exists, when you can build one yourself? However, when ordering the bricks, they accidentally order not 50, but 50 million bricks. Now faced with a giant block of bricks out the front of their house, all delivered by an army of Peugeot cars, they decide to put the bricks on top of their house, because what better place to hide them? And after the party with Horse and the entire village, their house collapses under the weight of the bricks, destroying everything. So now, they don't have a house. But don't worry, because they have 49,999,950 bricks to rebuild their house with. So they slowly try to rebuild the house. But oh no! The walls keep getting stolen in the middle of the night. So in order to catch the thief, they watch during the night and see 3 sea creature things stealing their walls. So they chase after them, following one into the house of a grizzly bear who has a trapdoor that leads to the center of the earth. And of course, the alien sea creature thing is in this trapdoor. But the rock they're hanging from isn't very strong, so it cracks and starts falling to the center of the earth, taking long enough for our characters to play a nice card game. But the sea creature escapes again to a giant snowfield. Our protagonists follow suit, but are soon swallowed up by a giant penguin tank, where they find the alien thing whose name is apparently Gerard. The penguin is controlled by 3 scientists whose only goal is to throw giant snowballs at unsuspecting people and animals, and for some reason are absolutely ripped. So the gang is captured and is forced to clean the penguin and serve the scientists, because they are too lazy to do it themselves. This makes me think that the creators don't like scientists. But soon, with the help of a woolly mammoth, they are able to escape, but Gerard changes the coordinates to his house in the middle of the ocean. So instead of going back home, our characters go to the ocean. Still after their walls, they give chase to Gerard, eventually finding their house hanging upside down in the ocean. They attempt to get their walls back, but they are chased away by an angry mob of barracudas. They run away, eventually coming to an underwater sea shop with pretty much everything and anything. They manage to trap the barracudas in a fridge, throwing it out of the window. And while in the shop, they also buy a pearl fountain. And obviously, when you buy an unlimited pearl fountain, you don't use the pearls to buy a new house. No, that's not Belgian enough. Instead, you use the pearls to pretend it's snowing and trick the alien things that you as Santa have crash landed outside their house and need help fixing your sleigh. And while the aliens are trapped in the hole that the gang put them in, they cut off their house, forgetting about gravity momentarily. Now without a house, the aliens chase after the protagonists, who, through a puddle portal, end up back in their village. But the aliens, now without their house, decide to take over the drunk farmer's house, and somehow are able to make a mountain of waffles in the span of a few seconds. But their peace doesn't last long, because the gang decides to use the cows and pigs as artillery, blocking all the pipes in the process of the house, which then leads to the house blowing up in a giant water tsunami that completely destroys the village. Also, I neglected to tell you that this entire time, the horse was trying to go to piano lessons with another horse, Madame Longray, and now swept up in the tsunami, is slowly barreling towards the music school. And you can probably guess why he wants to do piano lessons so badly. Now, with their entire village destroyed, the gang decides to work together to fix it, because they still have all those bricks. Cut to 1 year later, where the village is rebuilt, everybody is good friends, and they are celebrating Horse's birthday at the mega shop underwater. And the movie ends with Cowboy and Indian trying to get the most absurdly large firework out of their house and end up blowing up the entire village. This has got to be the best fucking fever dream of a movie I have ever seen. Genuinely, you cannot guess what the fuck is gonna happen next. That's why I call it a fever dream, because no matter what you reasonably think the characters are going to do, or where the story is going to be headed, you will be utterly shocked by the outcome. And I love it for that, because even though the story is batshit insane, it doesn't feel as if it is pulling it out of nowhere, or a better way to put it, the story doesn't feel badly affected by these twists and turns. When we are introduced to the characters and the opening plot, we can already tell that this story is about to be stupid. It's an Indian cowboy and a horse living together in a French village with piano playing donkeys. It's so stupid and surreal that when the story does something unexpected, we don't feel like it's pulling it out of nowhere. Like my favorite part when they use the pearls as snow to pretend to be Santa, without any context, should not work at any point. It's underwater Santa. Why would Santa even be underwater? And why would the alien fish people even know about Santa? But for the entire story, we've been taught that anything and everything can happen. So this just becomes another funny adventure. Like, I think this story, truthfully, is an adaptation of a child's story with their toys. You had those times when you would play pretend with your action figures and or dolls, and you would have the time of your life. And that's what this story is. It definitely doesn't make the most sense, but it doesn't have to. You were happy then, and this movie has perfectly encapsulated that feeling of joy when you're playing with toys. The characters in this movie also have so much character in them. One thing I hate more than anything is a character that feels as if it is pretending to be well written. It's like they've written the character halfway and pretended the rest is there, when it clearly isn't. But every character in Panic feels real and genuine, even if they're batshit stupid. They feel as if they are actual people and not just vessels for the story to progress. Like the farmer character, he feels extremely real. You have probably met someone like him during your life. Really loud, focused entirely on his farm, semi-drunk half the time, and absolutely loves his wife. These are all elements that flesh him out as a character really well, and since the movie is character-driven rather than story-driven, it allows for the story to do whatever the it wants. So when the farmer starts shooting farm animals into his own house to fight the aliens, even if the story seems bizarre, it doesn't feel out of character for him. Lastly, the thing I want to talk about the most is the animation. It's so incredibly charming, with the basic claymation and stop-motion animation. And the use of toys as the characters really helps to add to the charm of the show. Usually these kind of plastic figurines are sitting on the shelf of collectors or forgotten in a grandpa's attic, but they long to be played with again. And seeing these action figures so often overlooked by many people nowadays, seeing them go on these wacky adventures that we would dream up as children is so delightful. And the choppiness of the show really helped with this effect. None of the scenes are absolutely mind-blowing. You can definitely tell this was only made by 2 people in a house in Brussels. But we as children never minded that our characters didn't move. And now in this movie, it's so fun to see the simplistic animation of how the characters waddle around, or how the bricks fall everywhere. It reminds me of those times. And by restricting themselves to using these figurines, they have come up with creative solutions to work around these limitations. Like, all the water that splashes around is either a blob of clay or a bunch of old recycled plastic bags. It really feels like this is an art project of a 5th grader, and it makes it all the more endearing. Like, I love seeing these creative styles of animation. It feels so refreshing to see in this world of AI slop. So many things just feel the same, with all the same colors and techniques and cuts. But seeing a show that used unconventional materials in such creative ways really puts a smile on my face. Like, the French have always been known for doing ridiculously stupid animation styles. So please give this movie a watch. The movie isn't anything hard to find or too long to watch, and you will be laughing all the way. And the best thing about it is that all the characters speak French. Honestly, I should just start watching all comedies in French. It makes them 10 times funnier.